Mark Crispin Miller is with us, the professor at New York University, the professor of media studies at New York University, author of Fooled Again, The Real Case for Electoral Reform, his website, markcrispinmiller.com, and my old buddy. Mark, welcome back to the program.
It's great to be with you, Tom.
It is great to have you. You are, I'm not sure exactly what your participation with this is other than curating this. In other words, this Open Road Media is announcing this forbidden bookshelf, books that fill in the blanks of America's repressed history. You helped pick these out, is that?
Yeah, this was an idea that I brought to them. I've wanted to do this for years. You know, having discovered one book after another that I'd wanted to teach, my students, I would find that they were out of print. And at the same time, you know, as I've been studying the perils of media concentration, I also found example after example of books that had been adroitly disappeared, you know, not banned outright, because we don't do that in this country, but,
somebody buys up the copyright and then takes it out of print?
Well, you know, threats of litigation will scare publishers away. Reviewers will dismiss books as conspiracy theory or simply, ignore them. I mean, there's some excellent cases in point in the first 5 titles that we just released. The series Forbidden Bookshelf, we're going to have like a dozen books a year. And they're, by and large, they're books that have been killed in various ways.
What are these first 5 titles, Mark?
Well, there's Interference by Dan Maul, the veteran crime reporter.
Yep.
This is a great book about the influence of organized crime on the NFL, professional football.
The subtitle of that is How Organized Crime Influences Professional Football.
That's right.
And Dan also gave Lamar and I a lot of help in writing our books on the JFK assassination.
Indeed, he did.
He's a good guy.
I got his contact information from Lamar. Small
great.
world. At any rate, this is a book that Keith Olbermann called the best book on sports in the language when it came out. But to make a long story short, it was evidently maliciously attacked in the New York Times by a sports writer, and of course, Dan had already said in the book that loyal sports writers loyal to the NFL, would probably attack him for writing the book. That's precisely what happened. It led to an epic legal battle that went all the way up to the Supreme Court. That Dan's point was that book reviewers have to get the facts right. They can't simply make claims about a book that are false in a bid to kill that book.
Right.
And that review did actually kill the book. A paperback deal fell through. Bookstores started returning copies, and it was on its way to bestseller status. That's just one of the 5 we're doing. There's the classic work Blowback by Christopher Simpson, which is the first, and I believe still the best study of U.S. recruitment of Nazis and fascists after World War II for help in the Cold War. This is a book that is enormously important.
And how they influence the shape and form of our CIA and its behavior.
Well, the CIA was behind this, and for that very reason, the book is not as well known, nor was it as widely reviewed as it should have been, and it slipped out of print when it is an absolutely dazzling piece of scholarship and a real eye-opener. I can't recommend it strongly enough, and we'll be doing 2 of his other books over the course of this coming year. The third is Douglas Valentine's The Phoenix Program, which is, I heard I was listening to you speak before you had me on just now, and I really do believe that a lot of the trouble that we're in today, constitutionally and otherwise, and in terms of global terrorism, you name it, really has its roots in many ways in the Phoenix Program, which the CIA ran in Vietnam. This is basically an assassination program, a terror program that killed some 20,000 Vietnamese civilians. It was completely illegal. Valentine's own career was pretty much destroyed as a writer with any kind of an access to mainstream publishers after a negative review appeared in the Times by Morley Safer. I'm telling you, these are books that authors, for the most part, have written at some risk to themselves.
Right.
Therefore, I think it's inordinately important that people take a look at these books, because this is why we have a First Amendment, Tom.
Yep.
We don't have a First Amendment to protect pornography. Now, I'm all for pornography. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that we can all read Lady Chatterley's Lover and we can all read Howell. But that's not, as you know very well, that's not why James Madison and the others wanted a First Amendment.
Right.
They
wanted dissenting voices to be heard.
Voices to be heard and to protect our right to crucial information about our own government and its activities.
Right. Even
now, the other two books are one is an older one from 1935 by Frederick Lewis Allen called The Lords of Creation. This is a riveting, terrific history of the robber barons. The subtitle we used was An Early History of America's 1%. It's got a terrific introduction by Gretchen Morgenson, the financial reporter for the New York Times, and it's as timely and as readable today as it was when it came out back in less constricted times, when it comes to speaking the truth about our economic system.
And the last book is?
And the last book is The Search for an Abortionist by Nancy Lee Howell. This is a classic study of what women had to do with unwanted pregnancies before Roe v. Wade. This is from 1969.
Wow.
It's got a new introduction by Nancy. This is a must-read because, the forces of the right are making abortion de facto illegal all over the country.
Right.
And this book will give us a very vivid sense of what that actually entails.
Mark, is there a website where people can find out about this?
Sorry?
Is there a website where people can find out about these books?
They can go to Open Road Media, that website.
.com?
Well, I hope I have that right.
Yeah, Open Road Media. Or they could just plug it into a search engine, into DuckDuckGo or whatever. Open Road Media.
Forbidden Bookshelf.
Yeah, and Forbidden Bookshelf. These would be the keywords to search on. Mark Crispin Miller, his website, markcrispinmiller.com. Hopefully you've got a link over there, too. And we'll put a link over at thomhartmann.com. Mark, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Tom.
Keep up the great work. Great to have you with us.